welcome to my channel. My name is Addie and I took a little bit of a break, but this is my January wrap up and I'm excited to tell you about the 7 books that I read in the month of January. So I'm just gonna go ahead and jump right in, and the first book that I'm gonna talk about was a NetGalley arc. It was Always the Queen, the Denise LaSalle story. It is an autobiography written by Denise LaSalle and David Whiteys, and it is the story of Denise LaSalle, who was a blues singer and an R&B singer back in the day, and she kind of like pioneered a lot of things in her field, and she just was like a very important figure, and she was just telling her story. The blues and R&B is like not really a musical genre that I know a ton of information about, and so I was very interested to read about it. The book was very conversational. It was very like you could hear her talking to you, so that was interesting, and I gave it 4 stars because I enjoyed it and I enjoyed the information. It's pretty good, learned some stuff, had a good time. The second book that I read in the month of January was The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern, and I gave this book 4 stars. I loved it while I was reading it, but it was also one of those books that, like, you know when you're like reading something and you're taking in the information and you know what's happening and you're following the story, but like you're also thinking about like what cars have dashes that would work best car vlogging, even though you have no intention of ever car vlogging. Like, I was simultaneously having those thoughts. Like, I was completely following the story, but I was also like off in my like make-believe world and just wondering what was going on over there as well. And it was like a weird thing for me because I was like, there's no possible way that you should be able to be thinking completely 2 different storylines and 2 completely different things and follow both of them. And that is how immersive and like lyrical the writing was in The Starless Sea, was that it was like so well described and so well established that like I can picture the settings in my head, and I like was very taken in with that, but also I was having like a completely different plot line going on over here. It was super interesting, but other than that, I like honestly don't remember much about the plot of The Starless Sea. I just remember thinking that it was like very beautiful world building and a lot of really fun just word choice and stuff like that. It was good, but at the same time I don't really remember anything that happened, so I'm not quite sure how I feel about it. I gave it 4 stars at the time, but like now that I'm thinking back on it, I'm like, I don't even know what happened in this book, so I don't know, maybe I need to revise that. I have an eyelash in my eye. Love that for me. Okay, the next book that I read in the month of January was Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, and I don't read a lot of paranormal dark academia, so I had a great time. And I'm also one of those types of people that like I'm completely willing to let an author just walk me through whatever they're doing, and they like, I am not in a rush to figure out what the story is about before they tell me what the story is about. And so I didn't really have a lot of problems with this book. I thought it was interesting. I thought the setting was interesting. I was not confused about which house does what, because I don't know which house does what at all. I just was all like, she'll tell me when it's time for me to know. So I can see how that could bother other people, and I also really just don't read a lot of paranormal dark academia, so I don't know if maybe it's like this was really bland or something, because I've heard a lot of people say that it's just kind of like a boring book or something like that, and like I had a good time. So that's kind of how I feel on Ninth House. I probably will read the second one. I thought it was interesting enough. The story of course follows Alex, who is a Virgil, I think was what she was. She was a Virgil or a Dante, something like that. But she was like supposed to be keeping all of the other magic having houses, she's trying to keep them in control, and you know, obviously there's like a conspiracy and stuff like that, and like I kind of predicted where it was going, which I think is probably a complaint that a lot of people have, but at the same time, like I didn't hate that I kind of predicted where things are going, and that might be just because like I am one of those people that I'm like, all right, just lead me to where I need to be. So that's my thoughts on Ninth House. It was a 4-star book. I had a good time. I'll probably read the sequel. The next book that I read in the month of January was my 5-star book of the month, and it was The Hating Game by Sally Thorne, and so many people have talked about how good The Hating Game is, and just add my name to a list of those people because I enjoyed it. I had the best time and I could not put the book down. Like, I literally was like so tired one night and I was on vacation, and I was like, I went up, went to bed, and my cousin's dog got spooked and started barking and like woke me up a little bit. Like I wasn't like asleep, but I was like right on the cusp of being asleep, and I was like gonna just fall asleep as I was reading and everything, and like it scared the crap out of me, got my adrenaline going, and I think I finished the book at like 4 a.m. the next day. So thanks to Lonnie for barking and scaring the crap out of me and making me finish a book. The Hating Game, it's about two people that are working in an office, and they work for like the CEOs of their merged company, and there is a new position available, and so they're both going for it, and they hate each other because they work in the same proximity, and like they just haven't figured each other out yet, and they end up, you know, going on this journey of falling in love and realizing that they really don't hate each other as much as they think they do, and it is just cute and wonderful and just a good time. Yeah, check out The Hating Game if you haven't yet. Highly recommend it. The next book that I read in the month of January was Vicious by V.E. Schwab, and I honestly like don't have a lot to say about this one because it was like morally gray characters, and Eli freaks me out. I don't like him. I don't like anything he has to say. I don't like anything about his character. It just freaks me out. Victor's right, but also he's like doesn't care about people. He's just like, whatever, I'm gonna do my thing. And so I'm like, whatever, okay, do we really care about Victor either? And of the two, we do care about Victor. But also, the one person that I like really connected with, that I was like, I want to know like more of what's going on with this dude, is the computer hacker that is like huge and bulking and everything. Like, liked him. I was like super terrified for a minute there for him, but he was interesting. And then the little sister, who's like, I read these like a month and a half ago, so I don't remember the names or anything, but the little sister, her superpower is very, very interesting. And like Serena, who is the older sister, like, oh my gosh, her power was just like, that is like my worst nightmare, is to run into somebody that is like has Serena's abilities. Like I would just not, no, I don't like her. And so yeah, that was my thoughts on Vicious. I need to read Vengeful though. Like I'm fully like sold in on reading Vengeful, so that should be coming up sometime in the future. And I will move on to the next book. So the next book that I read in the month of January is Patron Saints of Nothing by Randy Rebay, and it is a story about a Filipino-American boy who is very close to his cousin as he's growing up, and then as they get older they drift apart, and his cousin lives in the Philippines. And so one day he finds out from his father that his cousin has been killed by the police in the Philippines, and so he goes on this journey to figure out what has happened to his cousin and like why and like what was going on with him since they've drifted apart. And through all of that, he kind of deals with the political situation in the Philippines, and also like his family dynamics and the differences between the cultures. And I thought it was really interesting, and it talked about something that I didn't know a lot about, and so I enjoyed like the little window that was provided to look into that. The next book that I read in the month of January literally took me all of January to read, which is freaking hilarious considering the blurb on the front of it, but it was Circe by Madeline Miller. And I'm a Greek mythology person. Like I love Greek mythology, and I don't know what it is about Madeline Miller's writing, but I have the hardest time like actually sitting down and finishing it. This is at least the third time I've tried to read Circe, and I've also tried to read the Song of Achilles a couple of times, and I just haven't been able to get through them like before this month anyway. So it has been a long time coming for me getting through this, but I just think it's funny because it's just like an epic spanning thousands of years that's also a keep you up all night page turner. And I'm like, I could have literally walked away from this book at like any given moment. I was like, read a sentence, maybe I need to go paint my nails, and then I would do something else and I'd be like, okay, maybe I'll read a sentence, and then I would like walk off. And luckily it was for book club. I did finish it. I did not DNF it. Finally got all the way through it, but it was literally like an hour before I had to leave to go to book club. So it just wasn't for me. I don't think it was like a very good book, and I am very appreciative of Madeline Miller giving some agency and some backstory and some character depth to a female character in the Greek mythology like wheelhouse. I think that's awesome, and I would highly recommend this book as somebody that likes Greek mythology. I just don't think it was for me, and there was a lot of really, really pretty writing and everything, but I just could get up and walk away from it at literally any moment in time. And I would say it might just be because I wasn't feeling like reading or something like that, except for every time I've tried to read it at different points in my reading journey, it has been like that. So highly recommend the book, but it just wasn't for me. And those are the 7 books that I read in the month of January. I also started The Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan, intending to do Riordan read-along, readathon. Didn't finish it. So maybe Greek mythology was my thing this month that I just was not interested in. Who knows? I also have like a project that I was working on coming up in March, because I am a sports person and I like sports. Coming up in March is the March Madness tournament, the NCAA National Championship. And so what I'm going to be doing, because I don't really purchase a lot of books, but I would like to purchase some books because my birthday is in March and I want to do that. So what I'm going to do is assign a book to each team that makes the tournament, and there are 4 different sections within the tournament, and so I have 4 different sections that I'm going to do, and then I'm going to pit all of those books against each other and keep track as the games are played and do that. And then when it gets down to the final 4, I'm gonna buy all of those books, and then whoever wins, I'll read in the order that they do that. So my categories that I'm gonna be reading from are gonna be middle grade, young adult, adult, and graphic novels. So I haven't read a lot of graphic novels, so I am like completely open to like literally any suggestion on that. If you have a good graphic novel, please drop it in the comments, because I just don't know what I'm looking for there, and I need at least 16 suggestions to go through so that I can, you know, pit them against each other. I'm also in search of some middle grade and some adult titles. Young adult, it's pretty covered. Those are all in there. But if you have any suggestions for a graphic novel especially, but either adult or middle grade as well, I would love to hear those. Yeah, that is it. That is the video for this week. So if you like this video, please hit like. If you really liked it, hit subscribe. And yeah, I don't know. I don't really have anything else to say. I hope everybody has a great day. I'll talk to you guys later. Goodbye.